All right, we said that we'd be having a chat about the People's National Party's manifesto, and it was released to the public online last Thursday. Some Jamaicans have expressed that they're in favor, some have questions, and others need clarity. So we invited the Vice President of the People's National Party. I think I hear him say that he will retire from representational politics, and he was on about 14. Damion Crawford is here. Morning, my friend. How are you?
Hi, morning, my brother. How you doing?
Can't complain. Give thanks. I hope all is well with you guys.
Yes.
So you have stopped representational politics? That's it for you, or no?
No, well, we don't know what the future will hold. After this landslide, you never know. But I was given the responsibility of chairing the manifesto committee and being responsible for the policies that the PNP will implement.
Yep.
And so therefore, that is a very important aspect of winning an election and a very important aspect of running a government.
Yep.
And I took it on 100%, and we presented what we had come up with in the last 4 days.
It's interesting with the rains around and you're talking about landslide. That's not
yes.
what you talk about, are you?
No, I'm curious, to which landslide do you refer, Sir Crawford?
The momentum that the PNP has currently is excellent on the ground, is excellent on the road. And also, the failings of the JLP in the campaign period is going to be of great detriment to them. As you know, I was maybe the only politician. Excuse me.
Bless you.
COVID. I was the only politician that was calling for a postponement of the election, saying that I didn't think it was the right time when a COVID spike. And unfortunately, the JLP thought they were making a calculated decision, that they had the upper hand. They called the election, and it's proving that they weren't good at math. So a calculated decision was not a good response.
But the party leader, when the election was called, says that he welcomed the calling of the election.
Anyone seeking to get power welcomes the calling of an election.
Your leader, David.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So
okay.
Our leader would want to gain power by defeating the Jamaica Labour Party. And once an election is called, you have only two options: you either run or you say you're not participating. Not participating was not a possibility because we couldn't give uncontested another 5 years to the Jamaica Labour Party.
But why did he not say that if he felt as strongly as you did, why did he not speak out as strongly as you did about the ill timing?
I'm going to leave that answer to him, but
okay.
I personally felt very strongly since the 5th of August when I saw the temperature increasing, that the culture of campaigning in Jamaica, that the method of interaction, and that the lack of internet to over 40% of our people would cause for this reality to happen. And the polling stations is going to be crazy as well. You understand that anybody who is diagnosed between yesterday and the election will not be able to vote because 14 days quarantine will cause for them to be incapable of coming to the polling station. That can be easily over 600-700 persons based on 100 yesterday and 98, 116 and 98. We're already at 200 who can't vote. And if it continues for the next 7-8 days, we're looking at even 1,000 persons disenfranchised when there were 4 or 5 seats that lost by 100.
Just before the manifesto, Damion, you said landslide in a very serious way. But the polls would suggest that if there's a landslide, it might be the other way. Why are you so confident? You've already said that the momentum on the ground, but you don't buy the polls or no?
No, I've never questioned polls. Polls are a snapshot at a particular point in time. Those polls were done before we told the Jamaican people that the PNP will be guaranteeing 1 degree per household and giving 10,000 scholarships of $350,000 to the first person in each household that matriculates to the university. Those polls were done before the very popular rent-to-own program that we have suggested in our manifesto. And those polls were done before there was an even play field, that the government didn't have the resources of government and the opposition was playing without the resources of government. Now that each member of parliament is no longer a member of parliament and we're on the same platform, and also that the luck of the Jamaica Labour Party in managing COVID has been shown up to be a lot more than efficiency, I believe that the polls will change coming down the furlong straight. So as you know, as a sportsman, when we take the horse out of the mud and start riding him with the right hand stick, it's going to be a full speed coming down the furlong straight.
I didn't know you were a racehorse, man. I am learning things.
All right. So some of the talking points there of the manifesto. Before we get into those a little bit more, you said the polls were done before Jamaicans knew what you were doing, but have you given them enough time, Damion, to know what you're doing and to digest what you're doing, which takes me back to the discussion I was having with Neville about the timing of these manifestos and why we have to wait so long to see what each party is proposing?
Well, our manifesto was ready since February. You don't, however, release a manifesto when a government proves its willingness to not, intellectual property is not important to them. They have taken everything, including ideas. Also, sometimes when a good idea, a popular idea, is taken by the opposition or the other side who don't believe in the idea but believes in the popularity of it, it is bastardized and implemented in a negative way. And so we retained until the election was called. What must be noted is that the party that called the election has not had a manifesto. The party that is responding to the call of the election has a manifesto ready and has put that manifesto out. In fact, one senior member of the JLP suggested about a week ago that they were not doing a manifesto, they were continuing what they were doing. Since I was started to create waves in the community and the society, they have been busy trying to type a manifesto, and I understand it will be coming out today.
So why did you, if it's been ready since February, why did you wait so long? You could have still given yourself an advantage. I mean, go ahead.
While in government, the government, as I said, could take popular aspects of the manifesto and implement with the power of government. So, for example, the police are very excited about having reduced cost of vehicles, concessions on their cars, because we feel a police person shouldn't stop a taxi and then later take the taxi. The nurses are happy because we recognize that they were being scorned because of COVID, and we're saying give them concession as well. The teachers are happy because we're saying 100,000 grant to ensure that they can prepare their homes so they don't have kids running in the background, or that they can get a proper chair, or they can get a proper computer to do the teaching from home. That shouldn't be their cost. If we suggested this in March, the government would have implemented and claimed it no different than they implemented the road programs in 3 Mile and Constant Spring, and is suggesting that it is their roads and their achievements, and that would be political suicide for any political party to give a government willing to implement and claim their ideas too early.
The other thing Sim and I were discussing this morning, well, I brought it up about if there is an undecided voter, if that manifesto would swing them. You obviously think so.
Yes, I do think so. A manifesto can only swing persons if the idea is sitting well with the person. So there are many Jamaicans now who are renting homes and in a quicksand because that rent caused them to be even more incapable of owning a home. So when the People's National Party suggests that we'll be having a rent-to-own system, that persons can move into a home built by the NHT or provided to the pool by private investors, and that person then pays a rent where a portion of their rent goes towards paying down on the home, and at the point that they reach to the 10%, it becomes a mortgage. That is an excellent concept for many, many Jamaicans. Many just leaving university, many single mothers, many persons who are helpers. It is the first I've seen in any conversation where houses are reserved, 5,000 houses reserved for helpers. Houses are always reserved for police, teachers, and it will continue to be reserved. But houses have never been reserved for taximen, security guard, because those persons have always been perceived to be incapable of finding the down payment and incapable of proving the ability to pay. The rent-to-own changes that, and it has been creating a real buzz in the society.
Let me ask you about the actual kind of mechanism, technological mechanism behind this. I saw people in social talking about how they love it because you've personalized it. You found a way to make it, seem as if it's speaking to the issues that particular individual. So you guys have gone to certain lengths to really make it appeal to a certain demographic. A lot of young people I see on social talking about it. But in talking to Neville again this morning about the polls, it would seem like your demographic is getting older. So how you square that, Damion?
Well, that's how marketing goes. You look at the segments that you need to target, you retain the ones you have, and then you design strategies and methodologies to target the ones you don't have. So therefore, if it would be unlikely for people to read an academic manifesto because they're not leaning towards the PNP in that age group, what we did was to create a manifesto that they would be excited to see, even if they were not leaning towards the People's National Party. Having seen it, then they may be leading to consumption. In marketing, consciousness is the basis of consumption. Nobody consumes or desires what they are unaware of. And so what we did with this methodology strategy was to first create the awareness and the consciousness, and then with the ideas that have been grabbing them, it has now been creating consumption. We wanted to define, for the first time in Jamaica's history, a digital manifesto, but more importantly, a people's manifesto. So it was not just this ministry will do this ministry will do this. We identified groups that were underrepresented, groups like the teachers, groups like the nurses, groups like the police persons, but rural youth, university hopefuls, graduates that are underemployed. We came up with a wonderful idea I submit, of saying that we will put $2 billion, $2,000 million for grant remuneration. If you write a grant on behalf of the society, on behalf of your community, on behalf of your interest, that is actually successful, we will pay you 10% of the total of the grant. So Simone, if you should write a $100 million grant and it's successful for building roads or developing women entrepreneurship, the PNP government will give you $10 million as gratitude for getting that $100 million loan. So therefore, some of these university graduates sitting in call centers or sitting at home can now go into grant writing, improve their community, improve their society, and be remunerated for it.
We're out of time, Mr. Vice President. Final question from me. Should your party win, would you lock down the country?
Well, we have a multiplicity of things that we'll implement. Should the party win, we will definitely be more strict on preserving the health of the people. And should the party win, we'll be more efficient in balancing the economy and balancing the health of our Jamaica.
Does that mean you would not lock down the country?
I think that personally believe that in the next 14 days, there should be a lockdown, get the thing under control, and then we can more properly open. We didn't properly open the last time, and so we're back into thinking and considering a lockdown. But there are persons more capable like Delahaye and Maurice Guy and Dayton Campbell who are more capable to make that decision sitting in a room than I.
All right, and with the digital manifesto taking care of the young people you're marketing towards, and then the older folks who are traditional PNP, do you think you can win it?
I think we will win it. I think that the failing in a campaign is a very difficult thing to recover from. And with the COVID spike and the 112, the 116, the 98, I think that the JP is failing within the campaign period. That will give us an advantage. But our message will also give us an advantage. Before this, people would say, what is the PNP going to do? They now know what we're going to do. And we're still saying that the JP has been negative in the corruption aspects and in the management of the country.
We have to go, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure.
And good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Vice President of the People's
Simone.
National Party, Damion Crawford. What he said?
I don't know.
By the way, the Jamaican Labour Party will be releasing their manifesto today, I'm told. And I'm also told it will be explained on tomorrow's show.
All right. Coming up next, what are some of the things Jamaicans should consider before heading to the polls? When we come back, we'll talk about that.